Well, is there any more speaking any of the group would like to do at the...
Alauneari would like to speak to the White Spider.
All right, let's speak to the White Spider. The White Spider is currently, sitting ethereally, as she tends to do, upon a small formation of crystals as she sort of peers around.
Alauneari will walk towards her.
When she approaches, the White Spider will make a motion of courtesy towards her and says, "Matron."
White Spider, quite a delight to see you here.
It is quite the sight to see. A structure such as this has never been spotted by my people or in the Up Asathir entire, I would think.
Yes. It is a monument to the future and the past. Hopefully it will just be one of many soon. Although this will, of course, always have its unique nature.
Of course, the first is always the sweetest.
Now, as we spoke when I last visited, not too long ago, have you done more divinations and attempts to figure out the problem going on currently with tremors and fire?
The White Spider considers and then says, "I have looked into it and scryed the signs and the webs of fate. This was set in motion long ago, it seems, by a human wizard," and she basically recants much of the information that Elnar probably knows about Abrisarius and his attempts.
Then that aligns with the information we and the Zyn have confirmed ourselves. It seems then that we all have the same information to go on.
Yes, Matron, the rift is, as far as I can tell, unstable to the extreme, and it is getting worse. I cannot say how long before something cataclysmic would occur, but I would not put it past I wouldn't put it past, at least. She seems to think 3 years to perhaps 6 years before something dire might occur.
Certainly it is a quickly approaching problem that we have not been aware of earlier. Had we been, perhaps things would have been different. Because we have had people perish to these attacks, and I hear that your people have suffered similarly.
Yes, promising hunting grounds has been destroyed.
Perhaps then it is a time, as I have spoken to Zyn earlier, to invoke the Silk Alliance again. This is a threat to all of us. We should deal with it, all of us. Although we, the Drow, of course, will be the ones to go to the location, as we have the most experience outside the fungal jungle. That is our strength. However, the Zyn and Skizral are not without their own.
White Spider seems to consider and then says, "Yea, this seems to be a threat to us all, as you have said, Matron, and in that case, yes, the Skizral will aid you in any way we can."
Good. It is good to have our allies in such support in these times. I fear that none of us would be able to deal with it individually. It is quite far down, and we have visited the area before. It is filled with boiling mud and flames, enormous monsters and mind-controlling creeps. It is a very unfriendly place.
Indeed it seems to be, Matron. If the Skizral can help in any way, we will try to do so. Know, however, that we have rarely traveled outside the fungal jungle. Our people would fare quite ill in such an environment, I fear.
There raises a hand. Of course. That is why I suggest that our people will be the one to make the venture down there. However, there might be other ways in which aid can be given, although I do not have current requests. It is good to know that the Skizral are willing to cooperate further.
Of course, Matron. This threat is to us all, after all.
On that note, something that will create wealth and stability, a more light note. I have spoken to the great alchemist, and he has agreed that a highway of sorts from the city of Zan to Duvenil would be proficient for trade. Perhaps a similar highway could be constructed that would continue from Duvenil to the Skizral caverns, making trade and movement between these locations easier, finally making a large-scale trading attempt worth it and possible. Duvenil should, in time, become a trading hub for the Upper Asathir, bringing goods from both Zan, the Skizral, and the lands beyond the jungle to one open free market.
That sounds like a promising idea, Matron. Yes, with the Skizral have in past years grown quite a bit. We have many new artisans and craftsmen among our people. Many of them would be delighted to ply their wares in the new markets.
And then markets will soon be built. Are the Skizral capable of constructing their own roads, or will they need outside help to do so?
We have no experience with road construction. As you explain it, Matron, our people usually travel, more of a, just sort of, motions, make a motion with her legs.
Very not. Very well then. We shall, when our markets are set up and our seafaring begins, consider it a priority to connect the Skizral caverns to the trading network with a road highway. That should certainly be profitable for us all, in addition to further strengthening our ties.
Agreed, Matron. We look forward with great anticipation to this trade initiative.
Oh, there he sort of nods and smiles. Good. More shall be heard, although it might take a year or two. This problem below has the priority at the moment.
Indeed.
Oh, there we'll continue a little bit of small talk, perhaps. But that was really what you wanted to get out.
If she's sort of, getting up to leave, so to speak, the one spider will speak up and says, Matron, a warning.
She looks at the white spider. Yes?
I have, as I said, scryed the webs of fate, and there are many portents. She seems concerned. They are difficult to interpret, but I have seen some things that might interest you.
Well, there's a perks an eyebrow and sits down again.
There is a jewel of intense fire down below, Matron. It is crucial to your efforts, and it must be found. Know that it is surrounded by darkness, a tomb, not by design, but of circumstance.
And where would we find this tomb? This land is made of caves. Is there an indication of where it might be located?
Burning light sears near the tomb, Matron.
Alauneari frowns. Light from above.
Perhaps. Light travels that domain, not only from above. There is also a sentience to it. Something light and burning is traveling that realm, Matron, seeking darkness to slay.
Alauneari frowns heavily. I see. Is there any more information you could give? This does sound like something we should be aware of.
And the white spider thinks the portents are hard to interpret, as I said. But I have seen an avenging sun traveling the realm below. As I said, seeking to slay the darkness. You should take heed, matron, if you travel that realm again. Should that light find you. The white spider doesn't continue the sentence to its end.
Oh, no, not. You saw where the light traveled.
An area of greenery, matron. It has traveled far and sought much.
No, not. It is good. We have found such a place of great wealth. It seems also of great danger. I shall be sure to heed this warning. The Skizral truly are diviners of greatness.
The webs of fate have always been generous to me, matron.
He looks at the white spider, nods, and says, I would appreciate any more of such warnings. This aid is... well, it could change the future for both of our realms.
I shall consider it, matron. But this warning was something I thought to give. Take it as a sign of good faith from the Skizral.
Well, there he nods. It is much appreciated. She then stands again, now with a troubled look on her mind. On her face. She bows, sort of gives a head bow, and walks out here. She'll look around, see if there's anyone else. Make herself visible with just Lara, you know.
Yep.
She would appreciate the gesture.
Of course. Lara will wave Ism away and approach Alauneari, and of course she will compliment her upon the grandeur of the cathedral and the majesty of its construction. And she seems to be certainly in a very charitable mood. And she is all pleasantries, complimenting, the majesty that the matron clearly exhibits, and the grand achievement of the cathedral.
Well, Aries is glad that her dress is noticed. She will just make small talk with her. She has no real intent in anything major.
No, that's fine.
She thought the noble would be, enjoy having some attention from the higher-ups.
Oh yes, she enjoys it immensely.
Good. Beyond that, Alauneari will talk to whoever sort of is around, who needs to have she'll be visible, basically.
Sure.
But her doings are done for now.
All right. Well, does anyone have anything else? Or will we consider the gala over here?
Good.
All right.
Well, at least at the following day or something, Zyn would like to approach the venture captain again.
Oh, certainly. But with that, the gala would be over, and most of the representatives will, head back home to different areas. The master of the tower is currently in his tower. It's still in Duvenil. There seems to be some business going on there. But yes, most of the other guests after the grand meeting, so to speak, return home. Let's see here. But yes, Zyn looks for and finds the venture captain. She is currently sitting with a group of, a mixed group to Zyn's mind. There's a few drow, there is a few deep gnomes, and there is even a dwergar in the party. when he sort of finds them. They seem to have made up a camp on the outskirts of the city, and currently have a rather large like pile of crates and goods and like barrels of drink and food and stuff.
I see. Well, Zyn will approach and gesture that he would rather talk to the captain alone and not to everyone else.
The captain will smile friendly and slip down from the crate where she currently rested, and will approach him. She will bow and say, "My lord, pleasure seeing you again."
I have thought about your proposal, and I think it may be profitable for both of us, but the decision is not entirely mine to make, so there may be some ways. Also, there may be some additional requirements that your group may have to follow should this venture be possible at all. You may operate from our territory if anything you find out is reported back to us. No secrets, and every intended exploration mission or expedition or whatever is, first of all, talk to words. Let me try that again. You will inform me of any intended expeditions, as well as report your findings to me. You will not keep any secrets, and you will answer any questions I may have about anything that you are able to answer. Additionally, I may require your people's services for other things. You have considerable skill, as you said, and perhaps that can be used for future recruits, if you understand.
She sort of pouts her lips a bit and says, "Well, as I said, my lord, we are available for hire. Any official investigations or otherwise would, of course, be reported directly to you, and no secrets would be withheld. That is within the standard hiring of the society." She smiles. But we must be allowed to operate somewhat freely. We did not come here with the intention of being indentured servitors. I'm losing my words as well. Servants. We came here because this area holds a great and curious interest to us.
You may, of course, act freely. All I'm asking is that you share your findings.
She hears things and says, "Well, perhaps. We usually do not work for charity. As I said, we usually arrange a business deal with whatever rulership we are engaged with. The standard practices."
In France. Well, if you agree to the requirements, perhaps funds could be provided for your expeditions. But as I said, it is not entirely my decision to make.
I understand. You would need to run it by the matron, I take it.
Yes, I suppose.
She grunts. Yes, well. Then I hope that the matron is in a generous mood when this is brought up. Do you require me to speak to the matron of the council?
If you think that may be advantageous for your cause, you certainly could.
She smiles. Perhaps there might be further questions during such a meeting that I would be in a position to answer.
Very well, then. When's the next meeting supposed to be?
So I think it's like in a few weeks or so.
Pretty much after we disband the Fete and clean up his hat, we're heading for Vathas.
Yeah, pretty much. So Zyn will inform the venture captain of the location and time of the next council meeting and officially invite her to it, basically.
All right. She will flash him her quite beautiful and a white smile and says, "Excellent, Lord Marshal. We will be there."
And then we'll nod and head off to do whatever Zyn does. He's like Spider-Man.
All right. And she goes back to her party.
Woo, party! Someone say party? I love crashing parties. Yeah.
Whoa, party!
Why's Miku there?
I'm partying like I'm 133, which I am. Woo!
Woo! Oh, my hips!
I think Miku is in my chair.
Miku's confused, I think.
Miku.
Oh, dear.
Oh.
He drank too much.
But Sandor is in his chair.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, Gorval and Ivy shouldn't be too close together. Ivy would probably kill him.
Yeah.
Rearrange the table.
Rearranged like this.
God damn it, we can't just sit down, can we?
Seating arrangements are pretty important.
Yep. Need to be a sword length from each other at least.
We need to put the names on the chairs.
Yep. Alright, and with that, then we go to a kingdom phase.
Sure.
All right. I'm assuming the I'm not even gonna allow this like into like an invent or discuss phase. I'm assuming that chucking the fucking gnome into the caverns of Agares may or may not have caused some unsettling events.
There might be some repercussions for that, yes.
Might have been a little bit of unrest that suddenly popped up, said hello. Like a gnome, like not like goblins rather.
Hello, I am Mr.
Well, what did said gnome expect, honestly?
Well, I would throw this back in your face. What did you expect for fucking chucking gnomes into the temple of Agares?
Nothing less than what happened.
Then you know.
I just sent Talon to kill those two bothersome gnomes down there. Well, you have another one. I guess we'll have a lot of gnomes to kill them.
Yes, we have a lot to discuss before we even get to accepting people coming into this fucking thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like before like the council can even come to session, like the kingdom turn is run. We have shit to talk about.
Everyone meets up.
Yep. Council, like as soon as it's sitting down, like before we even knew the kingdom, hey, we might as well get through all this because there's a lot of shit to discuss.
Alauneari is still in sort of a sour mood. She's been... Well, she really would like to talk to everybody first, but, you know, everyone kind of disappeared after the big party. So
Right.
She hadn't really had the chance to talk to everyone about the unsettling news.
Yeah.
So,
I think this would certainly be an opportunity.
Alright, well, let's get to it then, shall we? Do you want to do talking first or the kingdom phase itself first?
talking first might be prudent.
Yeah, talking first might be rude.
Then council meeting is opened.
Well, you're the Duchess, Manaki. Why don't you go first?
Alauneari will look at everyone and sort of do the usual of calling the meeting opened. She will then continue stanzas, and today I may have some pressing matters, not as much for the council as for my family itself. With the others. It has been brought to my attention that divination done by the White Spider has resulted in quite some results regarding the current problem of finding these, as I understood it, fire opals.
That is the correct term for one of the original ingredients we are missing. Yes.
However, this news is rather unsettling. It seems that there is, in the Earth's Wound, a tomb by accident, most likely a cave-in that killed whoever was down there. That is where we will find these opals. However, more unsettling is it that apparently something has descended into the Earth's Wound, something akin to a burning sun seeking vengeance and to vanquish all that is dark.
Rilinid, let's sound like that. I guess like he's verbally frowning. Since it can't be saying, Saren Ray?
Well, there he nods. That is my interpretation.
The what?
It seems that we would not be the best friends.
Say that out loud.
Son.
What? No, I just didn't understand what Grimith said.
He said Saren Ray.
Oh, yeah. The Dawnflower.
It was also said that this is a threat, not just to us personally, but a threat that is reaching so far that the Skizral themselves are worried about it. So, said the others. Certainly something we will need to investigate sooner rather than later, and something we need to be prepared to face, and potentially at least escape from initially.
We shall have to factor that into our travel preparations after this council meeting.
She nods. Besides that, other news has come from our allies. They have both agreed to a construction of an eventual highway once our markets in Duvenil have been made. Roads to both the Skizral Caverns and to the city of Zan have been ordered. We can construct them, although they themselves do not have the ability or knowledge, know-how of how to do so. They would very much appreciate our gracious offers to construct such road networks. This will allow us to have a very smooth trading relations and further cement the relationship between us and them.
Of course they seek the charity of our duchy. After all, were it not for our actions, the Zan and Skizral would still be at each other's proverbial throats.
Very nice. Yes. In addition to this, it seemed that the Skizral had plans of expanding. However, now that we offer this, it seems that many of the new spiders will be artisans instead, expanding into trade rather than territorial size.
An interesting pursuit given their lack of industry within their realm.
It seems that such was thought by the White Spider to be an interesting opportunity for further, perhaps, the civilization of the Skizral.
Perhaps that is something that can be looked into. It might be another 2 years before our markets are finished. We have so much to be done there. Before we even move our capital there, I would like to one day hold council meetings in a more appropriate locale than Vothis. I have seen it for enough decades.
Oh, certainly not. Yes, it is not quite fitting for us. To that note, I suppose it is time to begin to construct a fitting place for such council meetings.
Rilinid, at this point, will actually, unwrap the funeral shroud and begin to move the mask. Actually,
there are other concerns before we get properly to the council meeting, as I have spent quite some time in Duvenil over the past year. For starters, there is an emissary which has arrived from the great gnome king of Cladenvold himself. Emissary Peck... the rest of it's not important. The gnome names can go on forever. What matters is that, as Ivy pointed him out to me at the time, I had not yet gotten around to him, he was spotted talking with both Miatha and Tamar, both of whom somehow made it to the damn fete, despite all possible reasoning why they shouldn't have. And the emissary was speaking with them freely, at length. I referred him to bring his interests and concerns before this council, and it carries serious weight. The reputation of our society is notorious and significant, and in our current status we are still reliant more upon our treaties for protection than we are of protecting ourselves. Until the proper fortification is established, and Agar is willing it will be in a year, then we will still need time for those with military minds to train up something more useful than that we use to take Vault. Because if the Gnome King of Vault is so interested in our realm, then we would have to rely considerably on trickery and subterfuge to have any hope of defeating him. As such, I'm not exactly sure whether we should allow the emissary to leave alive.
Why not? I suppose I have no qualms with killing this emissary.
If I may, Council. Rain looks around.
Well, very not.
Now, of course, I am not the diplomat in this situation. I am not the Duchess. But there is the other side of it, which is their diplomat going missing may alert them even more in the end. Do you understand? You know, if someone's to go missing who is quite officially a member of them, they may see it as possibly even a declaration of war.
Rilinid presses a hand to his temple.
Yes, I have been considering that since the festivities ended. I have spoken at it at length. With the Mistress of Whispers, I'm not exactly sure how to handle it. The damn creature has been speaking so much with Miatha and Tamar, and we know how those two feel about the situation, that any sort of information they could have spilled, it would be impossible for us to spin this in any way positive, and by the very nature of the emissary being in Duvaynil, combined with whatever intellect the emissary may have possessed, he may very well have noticed our lack of domineering military presence that is so known among the Drow.
Oh, there he struggles. Could we not simply change his memories of the occasion?
Rilinid gives Alauneari a confused look.
How would you suggest altering someone's memories in that way?
Sort of like that. Says, I'm sure there is some way in which magics could be turned to such a use.
I would remind you of the fortitude known among Zvirneblin, to which those among the council can attest regarding magical interference.
Iron now slowly frowning.
I do have some thoughts on the matter. Considering the fact that, as you said himself, he saw we have little of a military. There is the thought, of course, that this could, of course, go both ways. But if they're worried about us trying to attack them, a lack of military might almost seem preferable to them.
Alauneari shakes her head. That will simply invite them to take Vault from us.
And although Vault is incredibly isolated and matters little in the way of material benefits, it is an iconic representation of our power. Were we to lose it, we would be greatly unstabilized, and I would not allow such an affront to my pride.
Alauneari nods. Rather cut down every single person in the city than let it be taken. That is a mercy to them as well.
At any rate, it is possible the emissary plans on returning back to Vault, and no ill will come of this. However, our current governance of Vault, combined with our societal reputation carved over the millennia with blood and torture and cruelty, would lead me to suggest that's not the case. It's possible, however.
Alauneari nods. The problem comes in how do we avoid being the ones blamed for the death of this emissary?
It is also possible that this emissary, as he was sent here, is of sufficient power that warning messages may have already been sent through arcane means back to Cladenvolt, or some sort of spell might be in place to inform their council should something unfortunate happen to him.
Very nicely. I suppose that is something we would do.
Hence my dilemma, which I had been contemplating with no clear resolve. Worst case, we allow him to speak. At the council, I did invite him to attend here, and then he gets sent back. He wanted to do a thorough investigation of the area, to which I scoffed, asking him how he would feel if I chose to wander freely around Cladenvold. Being treated as an honored guest, all of that, whatever, a bunch of diplomatic nonsense.
We could give him an escorted tour of some of the facilities.
It is possible that the Mistress of Whispers, in an alternate disguise, might be able to show him things which would cast us in an unapproachable or more favorable light, particularly if something were to happen to Miatha or Tamar, which falls into that problem as well, but better to upset the populace of Fastervold than it is to upset the populace of Cladenvold.
Why not, I suppose. What do you suggest, then? What should we do to them? They have been a thorn in our side for a little too long, and I am growing impatient.
Well, that leans back.
I don't suppose natural death, seemingly for Tamar, is on the table, or would that still look too suspicious? We have let him live for this long. The blame wouldn't be on our hands, would it? Not that blame matters, but I would like to keep better control of the populace.
Naturally. Perhaps. Certainly natural death would be useful for him. But what of her?
Gorval will at this point chime in and says, "My lords, it pains me to say, and I suspect you already know, but both Tamar and Miatha are seen as pillars of the gnome society. Were anything to happen to them, anything suspicious at all, and we would risk quite the outbreak of rebellious intent, I fear. They are well liked among the people. They help much with the ails and troubles of the gnomes. They are seen as, well, saints almost to their people at this point. If we kill them, and any suspicion fall on us, we will make them into martyrs, I fear." He looks very unhappy.
Rilinid clenches his temples in his hands.
Yet they might already have been empowered just by speaking with the emissary. It vexes me how to...
And if we had an army, we could certainly send it there to take care of them and show the gnomes force.
The problem then becomes the fact that the emissary has already been in contact with Miatha and Tamar, that secret agreements and arrangements might have already been made, and that should an army of Zvirfneblin arrive heading towards Fastervold, that the Zvirfneblin we freed from the dwarves ever so long ago would swarm against us, and it wouldn't just be Fastervold that we'd have breathing. Well, Fastervold itself isn't much of a threat. It's the fact that the gnome king of Cladenvold would then have a base through which to threaten the jungle itself.
Well, very not slowly. Perhaps installing some sort of security. Some way in which we can make Fastervold useless to them if they were to attack it. Keep the people as hostages, if you will.
Gorbal will chime in again and say, perhaps, matron. I am not sure it is a viable long-term solution, however. If we truly clamp down upon the people of Festivault and show them the council's might, well, I am sure they will be suppressed for a while. But currently, he grimaces, it is isolated and left outside the main reach of the council. We have reaching Festivault is always an arduous process. We have no clear roads and easy access to it. Sadly, this has allowed the settlement to become, well, more free than would be appreciable.
The Gnome King's forces, on the other hand, have a 2-3 week march along that conveniently named and located highway straight there.
We could move the two rebellious elements, perhaps some more of them, towards Duvenil, to keep them better under control.
Qual looks at the map, frowns, and says, "My lords, yes, the realm of the Gnome King is closer than we would like." He looks at the road. I do expect, however, that an actual army marching down that road will take considerably longer to reach its destination than would a small force on foot. He looks down at it. I do not think we are talking about weeks, if they even march. More likely a few months, perhaps. Looking at it, the Gnome King's highway is the greatest series of tunnels that connect the southern part of the Asathir, and it is certainly easy to traverse comparatively. Still, a large force will take quite some time marching down that road, I think.
I can agree. The logistics of such a travel, a small group can traverse it quite quickly, but any such travel on a large scale, you get slowed down monumentally.
And Ivy chimes in and says, also remember, my lords, that the Gnome King of Clanvold is not all-powerful. He does not rule by his own. He is more of a magistrate in response to the noble houses of the city realm. Unless it is perceived to be an acute threat to the city and its rule itself, his executive power is limited.
So perhaps surely these gnomes are not all as virtuous as they would seem. If we present them with a way in which they could earn something or gain some form of power, that might make them split enough for them to be unable to take any hard action towards us. If we were to suggest, for example, a trade network be constructed, then that might present them with opportunities that intrigues them enough to not bother us. We could, for example, make sure that this emissary returns home with samples of the many varied luxurious goods the Upper Asathir can present. This can include real, actual wood from down below, perhaps some salt, meats and fruits, food, marbles, spider silk, alchemical reagents, and other such things that they would not have an easy time acquiring themselves. Maybe such an intriguing proposal would make them make them succumb to greed rather than think rationally and simply try to take it. Besides, if they were to actually attack us, it would be many, many years before this region would be usable by them. They would certainly not have the same allies as we have.
In regards to the gifts, I would remind you our culture has a long storied tradition of doing and saying whatever it takes to get what we want, then discarding our position when they are no longer of use to us.
Not, of course, that is the only real prudent way of doing things.
The Zvirfneblin know that.
And they need not know it. I'm sure they feel confident in their strength after seeing our current military might. Yes, there might be some troubles for the gnomes in Fastervold, but surely we have done nothing to really harm them. We did free them from dwarves, and although he does not hear those stories from the two I'm sure he trusts the most, the gifts and other things might make the nobles of Cladenvold think in different ways than they otherwise would. If I'm sure they have nothing to gain from taking Fastervold, then I don't think they would bother. Really, sending an army of a decent size to walk months down the Gnome King's Highway and then back does require quite a bit of investment. And if I have learned anything from nobles, it is one, that they cannot be trusted, and two, that they never want to waste wealth. It is all a power struggle, I'm sure. Just look at where Vothis itself is placed, stupidly far away from everything useful.
Very well, then. I would suggest, in light of all this information, that the course of action would be, barring any change in plan from when this emissary speaks with the council, would be to have the Mistress of Whispers, perhaps in a guise, which she can certainly manage, lead this emissary through choice selections to cast our duchy in the best possible light.
Oh, he nods. And then send him back with a few samples of our many goods to offer, perhaps with the offer of sending another diplomat to discuss trade relations.
Rilinid frowns.
It is quite some distance. We're isolated from Fastervold, let alone in decent reach of Cladenvold.
Yes. Still, you think it would hurt to make them split a bit on the approach? Surely I do not think this would be something that happens within a few years, but if they get the offer, useless at the moment as it may be, that will certainly make a visible symbol of our current interests.
I don't see how any drow emissary could possibly split them.
Oh, their emissary will carry the gifts, of course.
There was the other matter of, I spoke with a leader of the Duergar which have moved in. I was curious as to why Duergar, of their own volition, had chosen to move into the realm. Seems they have their own great stake in personal wealth and finances, and so long as they are left to their own inscrutable purposes, they shall continue to design and craft whatever it is we specify. I did make the mention several years down the road that if the Duergar continue to prove useful, there might be a guild hall in it for them where they could properly ply their trade. We shall see where that leads us.
Alauneari nods. As long as they behave, certainly. They are under the same rules as all others.
I don't think I had anything else. No, I can't think of anything.
No, nothing. Shall we send in the gnome emissary then?
Rilinid nods, sliding back on his mask.
And enter he does. He is dressed in another set of fabulous finery as he enters. He wouldn't wear the same things two meetings in a row, of course.